So, Alistair, Johnny, thanks for inviting us up to Otley.
Welcome to Yorkshire.
Yeah, thanks. On another, well, clouds come over now, but it's been a sunny day up till now, and third time up here this year, and every time with the sunshine. Is that always the case?
Yeah, it's always very, very sunny up here. Yeah. It's actually the first clouds I've seen in a few months.
Yeah.
So it's been a nice summer, but we've had some cold rides and some very nice warm rides this year.
Yeah, so I mean, a great part of the country to live in and train around. So how many months a year do you spend in this area, staying in the UK before you head off your warm weather?
Well, we're very lucky. I think we're pretty much born and bred in this area. We were brought up probably 2 or 3, maybe about 4 or 5 miles from here. We now live about 2 miles from here, and so we've done thousands, probably millions of miles cycling on these roads, and yeah, obviously you've got a bit of everything, bit of flat, bit of hills, great scenery, real cycling kind of culture and history with loads of groups to ride with, and we probably still spend the majority of our time here at home. Obviously it's at home, friends and family here, it's where we're based, and the training centre's based, but depending on the year we spend more time away. So I think in 2016, when we're obviously preparing for the Olympics in Rio and trying to spend more time in warm weather for that and time at altitude and that kind of thing, we were away for over half the year.
Typical week of cycling around here, kind of miles, routes. Do you choose some flat rides, some hill rides? What's your usual schedule?
Well, one of the great things about cycling in Yorkshire is the roads are amazing to ride on. The small roads, there's hilly rides, there's flattish rides. There's no around here where they're super flat. But my normal week of riding is I ride up to 20 hours, but normally most weeks about 15 hours. I try and get 3 longish rides up to about 4 hours on a Wednesday, a Saturday and a Sunday. And on Thursday it's a hard chain gang ride, which involves going down to this local group and meeting them and meeting the guys who finish work, and at 6:30 we go out on the chain gang and do 40k very, very hard, and I really enjoy that. And like Alistair said, one of the great things about Yorkshire is that cycling culture. So the fact that there is a group of 50 people that meet on a summer's evening and you can ride, you get a really hard ride done is great, and that's what I love. And it is a great place to train.
Actually, I've seen you also trained the Sky over the years as well, haven't you? I've seen photos of you guys, obviously, I guess not here, but over in Mallorca.
Yeah,
still have that connection? Was that?
We've been lucky enough over the years to train with all kinds of people, both at home around here and abroad. And we did go on a training camp with Sky a few years ago. One of them was training camps in Mallorca, which was good. It was a fantastic experience and a real eye-opener to see how everything worked. And it was brilliant. We haven't been back since and recently. It's tough to fit it in, you know. It's like everything. Life's busy, and you end up focusing on your goals that are coming up, and it's quite hard to fit other things in. And we've always got to try and fit 3 sports in. And in triathlon, you know, if you focus on one sport, you can get better at it quite quickly. But then it's just at the expense of the other 2, and then you end up, you know, and then 2 weeks later, everything's back to kind of square one. So it's that constant balance with us, really, with all our training.
And where's your local swimming pool? Is that Leeds based? And is that like a super early start before you?
Well, our normal day's training does start with the swim, and we swim at the Leeds University pool in the city centre, which is about 15 minutes from my house, and we're actually very lucky to swim at 7:40, so it's not too early. We've tried over the years to push that later and later as we've got older. So you hear some people start at 5 or 6, but I'm a strong believer that you need your sleep, and recovery is very, very important. Sleep is part of that, so if you can push that as late back as possible, that's a good thing. And especially on summer evening when you can train until 8 o'clock at evening.
Yeah.
We also swim in a lake just around the corner. We'll probably pass it on our bike ride now, so I'll show you.
Okay.
Which has hit a record high this year of about 24 degrees.
So like no wetsuits?
This year you've had to swim no wetsuits, which is a bit...
Yorkshire, that's kind of bonkers.
What do you mean? It's all like that every summer.
What was that?
Not like where you live.
We're up here along with OTE as well. Now they're quite locally based, and I believe they've got an altitude chamber at their offices. Is that something you guys make use of every now and again? Or?
Well, OTE is a fantastic company for us to be involved with. We need to work with a nutrition company. It's a massively important part of our careers and our everyday lives, both in terms of getting everyday nutrition right, eating as healthily as you can, getting the right amount of calories and nutrients into your body to be able to do the training, but performance nutrition as well to maximise your performance on race day. And as I've done longer events, I think that's become even more important. Getting nutrition right over 4 hours in a long distance race is obviously really important. And then secondly, it's a Leeds and Yorkshire based company, so you know, the guys are kind of obviously the officers in the altitude chamber are based in Leeds, and a lot of the guys are based around Harrogate, and obviously a keen cyclist that are out and about on the roads, and we see them out and about, so it's really fantastic, and it's a really good mix. We haven't actually used the altitude chamber. We both have trained at altitude over the years though, so pretty much in the summer that's one of the only reasons I'd actually leave Yorkshire to train, to be able to train at altitude. But yeah, we go, when we do that, we use protocol to go for kind of at least a period of time, 10 days, 2 weeks, up to 4 or 5 weeks, and live up there and train up there, and yeah, do everything in the thin air.
Right. Yeah, like Al said, nutrition is very, very important in triathlon, and for me, I'd like to win a gold medal in Tokyo 2020, and that means for me to be able to compete in that heat in them conditions, the nutrition is super important. And working with these guys at OTA, hopefully they can help me to improve my performance and be able to compete in that heat and get a medal.
Right, I take it you guys are quite influential in some of the products that OTA are making.
Yeah,
Did you have quite a say in, or some input into what the...
Well, really, we're quite early in the relationship, but being able to have that input has been really important with us. So when we're talking about you know, getting involved, it was one of the really important things that we'd be able to design custom nutrition for kind of what we needed, and also, you know, come up with ideas of what other people might want out there, both for racing and for everyday training. So yeah, it's something that we're really looking into. Johnny's example of specific hot weather nutrition is really important for racing in hot countries, and global warming in Yorkshire, you know, getting warmer every summer, so I think that's going to get more and more important for the average sportive rider. And yeah, and we're both really keen on good solid recovery from training as well, and that's another area we're kind of looking into more and more.
Alistair, are you targeting Tokyo 2020 as well, or are you now fully on the 70.3?
He absolutely hates that question.
Yeah, the easiest answer is just I don't know really.
Right.
I kind of 50-50. Half of me says I'm in a great position that I've been to the Olympics twice, well, 3 times and won twice. I never in a million years thought I'd do that, so I feel like I'm up and should quit while I'm ahead. The other half of it, and I've always wanted to do longer distance, and obviously the Ironman in Hawaii is like the big, you know, the big kind of blue ribbon triathlon that you've got to do. And the other half misses, and I one more Olympics is fantastic. Yeah. So we'll see. I'm kind of trying not to think about it at the moment until someone asks me, and then we'll see in the next few years.
Right. Tim Don's recovery. Tim, back in the day, at the early days of triathlon, we had the most amazing triathlon team.
Yeah, I kind of remember. Yeah.
It was ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, literally every big name in
Spencer and Andrew
Yeah.
Johns and
Yeah.
Stewie a bit.
Stu Hayes, Tim Don,
Yeah.
Annie Emerson.
Yeah.
It was Richard Allen. I mean, it was crazy looking back at what was going on there. And obviously Tim then had that horrendous accident coming up to Hawaii. Amazing recovery.
Tim, I think for me it's amazing. I'm already feeling like it's not as easy as it was, and Tim's got another 10 years on me. Like, the fact that he's still going 8 is brilliant. And you know, the complications, obviously he's got family, and balancing that I think is incredible. I think that accident just looked horrific. It would have been in the States as well. And I can't imagine anything worse than having those pins screwed in your head. So he had this halo thing on, and he had to have pins screwed in his head and it was one. He had a few other options. He could have had surgery, but this was the option that gave him the best chance of returning to sport, basically, wasn't it? And he took it, and was it 3 months? He had to have this metal scaffold on his head with pins into his forehead, holding it in place.
Into his forehead,
yeah, it looked horrendous, and yeah, fantastic that he's come back in the last few weeks. He's done a bit of racing, and amazing, good on him.
Yeah. Are you targeting Hawaii this year, or
not this year?
No.
I'm targeting the half Ironman World Champs this year,
Okay.
which are on the 2nd of September in South Africa. So that's my big target for the year, and hopefully that'll go well. maybe Hawaii in another year. You've got to qualify, so you've got to do Iron, the long distance Ironman to qualify, and then you can get in. But your whole season has to be focused around that, really.
So that's as long as you're not focusing on Tokyo 2020.
Well, that's I think by the end of this year, I've got to decide really whether I'm focusing on 2020 or basically it'll be Kona.
Right. So what we're seeing in our business, so we've been triathlon's been a really important part of our business pretty much since day one. What we're seeing is a significant move from Olympic triathlon to 70.3. It seems to be a real kind of growth area. Got any hints and tips with somebody who's making that transition?
Yeah, I think it's not as onerous as it appears. I think obviously it's a lot longer, and like I've already said, it's not just because we're sat here with OT, but nutrition becomes a big factor. That length of Olympic distance. You can pretty much get away without worrying about nutrition too much, especially if you're not really racing it hard. Although you do need some kind of nutrition, but over half Ironman, you've just got nutrition almost becomes everything, and then over a full race distance, I think nutrition probably becomes the most important factor. So, A, nutrition. B, I don't think it necessarily requires a big change in training volume, and similar to me, I can't really train many more hours. I've been a professional athlete for a long time. Most people, most of your kind of customers probably can't train more time, concentrate to their life and that kind of thing. So I think practice what you need, so specifics to it. If you're going to ride a time trial bike, spend more time on your time trial bike in that position, making sure you're more comfortable in it. You're training basically for a more steady state effort over a longer period of time, so longer reps, steady state. I think science comes into play to it a bit more, so I've used the power meter a lot more and to kind of gauge my effort over longer distance, and I think that's a really important tool because it basically tells you what you can hit in a race, and then you just got to stick to it. And I think it's a lot more equipment heavy, so there's a lot more things that you need to go wrong. So the oldest adage in the book is make sure you try everything out before you race. So you've tried your race bike, you know what shoes you're using, you know exactly what nutrition, train to use your nutrition. I'd say probably 8 gels on the bike in a 70.3, and then probably 4 or 5 on the run, and that's quite a lot of gels to take in. So if you haven't got some kind of tolerance, being used to taking those gels in, you're probably going to struggle. So train on the gels as well, and the drink you're going to use. Comfortable in your running shoes, or you're going to get blisters. Really simple things like that. It sounds common sense, but it's amazing how few people actually just make sure that everything's nailed on before you do it.
And I've never done a 70.3, so I'll be listening to those tips in a few years' time. But I've got the old, the tips for people who are getting involved in triathlon. That's find a group to train with. I do 95% of my training with a group, and it makes a big difference. There's times when you fancy going out training, or you need pushing on, and you've got someone to help you. And be patient. I think if I could tell myself anything from 10 years ago, it would be to be patient and don't try and make those big improvements too quickly. If you make small improvements every week, that's very important. And the same in training, be consistent in training. I've got all my good results out of being consistent, so instead of training 35 hours one week and 20 the next week, I've got my results from being very stable and doing the same training week in, week out.
Right. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Let's go.
Yeah,
on the bike.
let's
go ride some hills.
Show you some Yorkshire. Looking forward to some hills.
Yeah, on Yorkshire Day.
Yeah, it's a bit bigger than that one in Richmond Park. Yeah.
Really? No one told me.